Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Herb Leroy, and I'm the private secretary to the Lieutenant Governor, His Honour, the Honourable Stephen Point. And on behalf of His Honour and Premier-designate Christy Clark, welcome to this ceremony wherein the Premier and the Executive Council will be formally installed in office. These proceedings are rich in the tradition of our constitutional monarchy. In each of our provinces, the Lieutenant Governor exercises the authority of the Crown in the name of Her Majesty and gives formal approval to the laws enacted by the Legislative Assembly, and the administration of which is carried out in the name of the Queen by the Executive Council, or the Cabinet, of which the Premier is President. Within Canada's provincial constitutional structure, the primary responsibility of the Lieutenant Governor is to ensure that there is always a government in office and that the basic principles of responsible governance are respected. And as representatives of the Queen, the Lieutenant Governor will now install the new government. Firstly, His Honour will administer the oaths of allegiance, then of office, and then of confidentiality to the Premier-designate, Mrs. Clark, as First Minister, Premier of British Columbia, and the President of the Executive Council. Then, upon Premier Clark's recommendation, His Honour will install the members selected for the Executive Council by administering the same oaths, after which Premier Clark will announce their portfolios. Please ensure your cell phones are turned off. And also, because we have to have some order out of chaos, I ask you to hold off taking photos. We have an official photographer, and anybody who is going to need photos afterward can obtain them from him. Thank you very much. Now I'd ask you all, please rise for the arrival of the Minister's Designate, followed by the entrance of the Premier-designate and the Lieutenant Governor. And I'll ask you, please, to remain standing until the National Anthem is played. Trust me, it's coming. Would you all now please join soloists Carly and Julie Kennedy in the singing of the national anthem, accompanied by pianist Christine Wong. Thank you, everybody. Well done. Please be seated. Thank you, Carly, Julie, and Christine. I'd now like to invite the Very Reverend Peter Elliott, Dean and Rector of Christ Church Cathedral in Vancouver, to give the invocation.
From time immemorial, spiritual traditions have been part of this land we call British Columbia. The first peoples in their ceremonies acknowledged the Great Spirit and the Great Creator. Christians, Roman Catholics, Anglicans, Protestants were amongst the first European settlers here. And today, in this region of cultural diversity, live peacefully, side by side, Jews and Muslims, Hindus and Sikhs, and many others from spiritual traditions. We have all found a home here in this place of peace and freedom. All religions share the hope that the earth will be respected and that people will live together in peace and justice. The hope within spiritual traditions imagines a world where families of many varieties can create a culture of harmony and compassion. So today we take a moment of silence as we ask the Great Spirit, the Creator, the one true and living God known by many names, to bless the work of this new government. I'm going to invite us to take a moment of silence first as we remember the people of Japan. Remember all whose lives have been lost and for the rebuilding of that country. And then I will offer a prayer from the Christian tradition attributed to St. Francis of Assisi. Lord, make us instruments of your peace. Where there is hatred, let us sow love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. Where there is sadness, joy. O great Creator, grant that we may not so much seek to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. For it is in giving that we receive, it is in pardoning that we are pardoned, and it is in dying that we are born to eternal life. Amen.
Thank you very much, Reverend Elliott. And now I'd like to call on His Honor. Your Honor.
Premier Designate Christy Clark and her colleagues. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me first of all to welcome each and every one of you to Government House. For some of you, this is your very first visit, and I trust that it will be memorable. But please keep this in mind. Although this is the ceremonial home of all British Columbians, each and every cup is numbered. And those of you who've been here before, please bring all that stuff back, okay? Just kidding. Today's one of those special times that are both rare and important. It's rare simply because it doesn't happen that often. It's important because we are following in the footsteps of the great founders of our province, who, in their wisdom and foresight, saw fit to cast British Columbia in the historic duality of democracy and monarchy. Today you will bear witness to the swearing-in ceremony of a new First Minister and her cabinet. These positions in government are institutions essential to the good governance of British Columbia. I congratulate the Premier Designate and her colleagues and wish you continued success in this your most important hour and in the years to come. May your journey be blessed with clear skies, calm water, and a strong wind to guide your ship. I wrote those words this morning, and I'm going to add just these few other comments. In our great longhouses at home, on an occasion like this, to mark a new beginning, they spread a brand new blanket on the ground. It represents our world, our universe. And then they clothe the individual to be honored in a blanket that represents that new beginning. And today we cloak you with the responsibility of governance. It's a new blanket. We ask you to keep it in a way that it's presented. We ask you to remember that you serve the people of this province at all times. We entrust you with the reins of government. When I became a judge, the chief judge said to me, "Remember this, you'll be sitting somewhere in a hotel in a corner of the province where the light doesn't go on and the heater doesn't work. But just remember this, you asked for it."
I'd now like to ask His Honor to swear in our new Premier. Your Honor.
actually read better without them. I, Stephen Point, in my capacity as Lieutenant Governor of the Province of British Columbia, do hereby administer the oath of allegiance, office, and confidentiality to you as member of the Executive Council, this Her Majesty's Province of British Columbia. Please raise your right hand and repeat after me, including your given names and surname. I
Christy Clark,
swear that I will be faithful
swear that I will be faithful
and bear true allegiance
and bear true allegiance
to Her Majesty the Queen of Canada,
to Her Majesty the Queen of Canada,
her heirs and successors,
her heirs and successors,
according to law.
according to law.
Now the oath of office,
I, Christy Clark,
swear that I will serve Her Majesty
swear that I will serve Her Majesty
duly and faithfully,
duly and faithfully,
and to the best of my ability,
and to the best of my ability,
fulfill the responsibilities
fulfill the responsibilities
and trust granted to me
and trust granted to me
as a member
as a member
of the Executive Council of British Columbia.
of the Executive Council of British Columbia.
I so swear.
I so swear.
The oath of confidentiality,
The oath of confidentiality.
I
Oh, I. I, Christy Clark,
swear that I will keep confidential
swear that I will keep confidential
all matters dealt with
all matters dealt with
in the Executive Council,
in the Executive Council,
and I will not disclose
and I will not disclose
any of the same
any of the same
to any person
to any person
other than a member of the Executive Council,
other than a member of the Executive Council,
except as authorized by it
except as authorized by it
or as required
or as required
in the lawful discharge of my duties
in the lawful discharge of my duties
as member of the Executive Council.
as member of the Executive Council.
I so swear.
I so swear.
I declare Christy Clark duly sworn and appointed President of the Executive Council and Premier of British Columbia.
His Honor will now administer the oaths of office to all ministers designate.
Now, I, Stephen Point, in my capacity as Lieutenant Governor of the Province of British Columbia, do hereby administer the oaths of allegiance, office, and confidentiality to you as members of the Executive Council and this Her Majesty's Province of British Columbia. Please raise your right hand and repeat after me, including your given names and surnames. The oath of allegiance. I, state your name. Affirm or swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to Her Majesty the Queen of Canada, her heirs and successors, according to law. I so swear or affirm. Oath of office. I state your name. Affirm or swear that I will serve Her Majesty. Duly and faithfully. And to the best of my ability. Fulfill the responsibilities. And trust granted to me. As member. Of the Executive Council of British Columbia. I affirm or swear. Oath of confidentiality. I state your name. Swear or affirm. That I will keep confidential. All matters dealt with in. The Executive Council. And I will not disclose. Any of the same. To any person. Other than a member of the Executive Council. Except as authorized by it. Or as required. In the lawful discharge of my duties. As a member of the Executive Council. I so swear or affirm. I hereby declare you all duly affirmed or sworn as members of the Executive Council of the Government of British Columbia. Congratulations.
It's now His Honour's pleasure that Premier Clark will announce the portfolio of each minister as they come forward to sign the oath book. Premier Clark.
Thank you. The Minister of Finance and Deputy Premier, the Honourable Kevin Falcon. The Minister of Health, the Honourable Michael DeYoung. The Minister of Aboriginal Relations and Reconciliation, the Honourable Mary Polak. The Minister of the Environment, the Honourable Terry Lake. The Minister for Children and Family Development, the Honourable Mary McNeil. The Minister of Transportation and Infrastructure, the Honourable Blair Leckstrom. The Minister of Energy, Mines, and the Minister responsible for housing, the Honourable Rich Coleman. And the Minister for Jobs, Tourism and Innovation, the Honourable Pat Bell. And the Minister of Labour, Citizen Services and Open Government, the Honourable Stephanie Cadieux. The Minister of Agriculture, the Honourable Don McCrae. The Minister of Forests, Lands and Natural Resource Operations, the Honourable Steve Thompson. The Minister of Community, Sport and Cultural Development, the Honourable Ida Chong. The Minister of Education, the Honourable George Abbott. The Minister of Advanced Education, the Honourable Naomi Yamamoto. The Minister for Public Safety and Solicitor General, the Honourable Shirley Bond. The Minister of Social Development and the Minister responsible for multiculturalism, the Honourable Harry Bloy. And the Minister of the Attorney General, the Honourable Barry Penner.
Wait just a second.
You ready?
We're ready.
I now request that the Attorney General is given the custody of the Great Seal of British Columbia.
Mr. Attorney, I'm pleased to entrust to your safe custody the Great Seal of the Province of British Columbia.
Ladies and gentlemen, Premier Clark and the new Executive Council. I now call on Premier Christy Clark to deliver her remarks. Premier.
Thank you. Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you, distinguished guests. And most importantly today, my fellow British Columbians. It's wonderful to be here with you today as we gather on the traditional territory of the Esquimalt and Songhees First Nations. I'm honored to be joined here by the leaders of many British Columbia First Nations, and I know that you share my commitment to continuing to strengthen our relationship and our shared economic opportunities. To begin with, I'd also like to say a few words to our friends, the people of Japan. People across BC have sister city relationships with communities in Japan. They include communities from Abbotsford to Quesnel. These relationships strengthen the bonds between our peoples, bonds that have never been more important than they are today. And I ask all British Columbians to donate to the Red Cross to assist our Japanese friends in this time of such extraordinary need. Cabinet will be considering also assistance on behalf of the people of our province to support Japan as they continue to deal with this terrible catastrophe. Today, I am truly humbled to be taking office as your Premier and proud to be leading a talented and committed cabinet and caucus. This is a smaller cabinet, one that will be focused on a few key priorities. The reduced size of the cabinet reflects a renewed commitment to being respectful to British Columbians by being frugal with the hard-earned tax dollars that they provide to government. But today we are doing more than simply swearing in a new cabinet. Today we are charting a new course for British Columbia. Premier Campbell was successful in forging a coalition of interests and perspectives together that produced great progress for our people. Our coalition will continue to thrive so that British Columbia can meet the economic, social, and fiscal pressures that face our great province. Our new government recognizes that this is time for a change. Change in what we do to make life better for British Columbians, and also change in how we govern. We are blessed in this province by natural splendor and a wealth of economic resources, and we have made great progress. Now it is time for our government to reach out to those families for whom the great promise of British Columbia may have remained elusive. And that work starts now. Our government will put BC families at the center of all of our decision-making. This will reflect the priorities of citizens, because family is at the center, after all, of each of our lives. The children that we nurture, the parents that we care for, the relatives that we count on, the partners we share our hopes and dreams with, however we choose to define family in our own lives. Like the boundless diversity of our province, families are defined in many, many different ways. But they are all bound together by love and an unshakable commitment to supporting each other and therefore making our communities stronger. Our government recognizes that the economy is not an abstract thing. It exists to create jobs and to sustain families and sustain communities. And today we must renew our focus on job creation in our province. Low to middle income earning families, particularly in rural communities, are struggling to keep up. Good jobs are the foundation of strong families, and this government will be tireless in looking for ways to strengthen every aspect of our economy in every corner of our province, with building an economy that works for every citizen wherever they are. Today we are creating a new ministry called Jobs, Tourism, and Innovation. We are bringing together many functions within government to focus on creating the conditions that help business create jobs. Green jobs, resource sector jobs, service sector jobs, jobs in the trades. We will put a particular emphasis on making sure prosperity and opportunity extend to rural BC. Creating a strong and growing economy is also the single most important thing that we can do to provide funding for those services that are vital to all of us: healthcare, education, and all of the other services of government. Creating jobs is one important thing that we can do to strengthen families, but it is not the only thing that we can do. Our government will ask this question with every decision we face: how does it affect families? And will it make families stronger? In the coming days and weeks, you will see real and tangible steps that benefit families. And I hope you will let us know what you think of them. And more importantly, I hope you'll engage and partner with us to help us tackle the challenges we face as a province. Today, This is the first cabinet swearing-in that is being streamed live on the internet. And it's a step, admittedly, it's a small step, to bring government operations into the sunlight and to use technology to bring us together. There will be lots more steps coming, steps that will engage citizens in decision-making as never before. We will listen, and in exchange, I will ask British Columbians to get involved, to make yourselves heard, and to give us your best ideas. Our government will be open to the people of British Columbia. We will talk about our problems, we will set our priorities openly, and we will work with citizens to find solutions. And we will explain why we make the decisions that we do. You may not always agree with us and all the decisions that we make, but to the greatest degree possible, you won't be surprised at the course that we take, and you will know for certain why we've chosen it. We'll work within a commitment to keeping BC on a stable and prudent financial course. We'll focus on core principles, protecting health care by making sure high-quality services are available to patients when and where they need them. Patients depend on us to ensure that they have access to health care providers and services in every corner of British Columbia. Our government will support our providers, and we'll focus on the areas of highest need, including support for those with mental health and addictions challenges. Our government will also invest in helping the least fortunate through tax incentives for the working poor and other steps that I will outline in coming weeks. We'll focus on nonprofit groups to give them the support they need to strengthen our society because they create an incredible sense of community that makes each of our lives richer no matter where we live. And putting families first also has to mean focusing on education with passion, with energy, and with real commitment. Our government will do this with an approach that says innovation shouldn't start when you go on to post-secondary education. It has to start in kindergarten. My commitment to education started at home. My dad was a public school teacher. And to this day, I still meet people who benefited from the incredible passion he brought to the classroom and the intense focus he put on each child as an individual. He believed, as I do, that every student has talent. No matter what their income, their family income, no matter what their circumstance, and no matter where they're from. In many ways, education is the fuel of our progress as a society, and that means that teachers are the engines. I want to work with our teachers to build a bright and hopeful future for families, one student at a time. In government, as in our schools, we need every member of the team fully engaged, giving their best, and contributing the most. Over the last 2 weeks, I have met with every single government MLA, and I'm convinced that each one will make an important contribution to our government's agenda, and more importantly, in making sure that their constituencies' concerns are heard at the center of power in Victoria. We also have a talented and diverse public service, and I intend to harness the power and creativity of the 30,000 people who work for the people of British Columbia, along with the people who work in our hospitals, schools, colleges, and universities. You have so much to give BC, so much to give families, and our cabinet will be encouraging you to commit and offer your energy and ideas at every opportunity. I also extend this invitation to the diverse populations that make up BC. Our population's diversity is not simply an asset or something that's nice to have. It is who we are. I am determined that when British Columbians look at their government, they will see themselves reflected back. Their values, their stories, their unique ways of looking at the world. Our government belongs to all British Columbians. Whether you are new to Canada, an Aboriginal Canadian, a rural or an urban Canadian, young or old, you have a major contribution to make to this province. May our work together help build a better British Columbia. This is going to be an exciting time, a time of renewal for BC families, a time when we work together as partners to build the British Columbia that we all know is possible. Let's get started. Thank you.
Your Honor, Premier, Ministers, ladies and gentlemen, we're coming to the conclusion of the formal part of the ceremony. In a few moments, we will sing God Save the Queen, after which the official party will depart. If you would please remain by your chair until after the official party departs. Now, would you all please rise for the singing of God Save the Queen and for the departure of the official party. Thank you very much, everybody. This now concludes the formal part of the ceremony. You're invited to attend the reception at the back of the ballroom. The pianist will continue performing in the ballroom. The Premier and some ministers will be pleased to address the media downstairs. Sorry, just the Premier will be addressing the media downstairs in the McClure room. So please enjoy Government House, and thank you for coming. Have a pleasant afternoon.